I'm pretty sure you're going to get a pretty unanimous, yeah, we kind of think that's a bad idea. We should prevent that. Okay, I'll give you that. Now, who else should not have guns of any sort, any ilk, any design? Children? I don't know. I raised my kids when they were little and when they were growing up. I never bought my kids guns, toy guns. I didn't. I don't know, I just didn't. Well, I had girls. That doesn't mean that they didn't still point fingers at each other, chasing each other through the house, going bang, 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 you're dead. They do that. I sat there today and watched my 2-year-old grandson and my 3-year-old grandson take Duplo blocks, you know, the big Legos, big fat Legos. They put 2 small ones together, one on top of the other, and then they took a bigger one, a long one, and stuck it on top of that, promptly pointed them at each other and went bang, 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 and chased each other through the house, saying bang, bang, you're dead. It's genetic. It's some sort, I don't know, it's a cultural memory or something. It's a genetic memory. It's just passed down in the genes. Come on. Come on. Now, I call it BS when it gets to a certain point of being just ludicrous. And I figured out why. And I mean this. Now, bear with me and follow me here for a minute. This is going to sound a little off the wall at first. I have figured out why the powers that be out there who say, we're going to take your guns, we're going to get the guns, we're going to get the guns, really aren't worried about it. They really aren't worried about it because they know constitutionally, by law, they can't. They can say it and they can storm it and they can make cute sayings about it and, yeah, have programs and committees. But they know deep down, bottom line, they can't do it because it's unconstitutional. Period. But it makes for a great speaking point, doesn't it? Gets your name out there. They get known. And they're like, so-and-so wants to save everybody and take all the guns. Really? You're an idiot. You can't. But I figured out why they're not really worried about it. This sounds really bizarre. I know this. Now, give you an example. Last week, little Joshua Welsh, 7-year-old second grader, okay? Second grader in Maryland's Anne Arundel County was suspended from school because he decided his half-eaten, we'll call it a toaster pastry, it's a Pop-Tart, looked like a gun. Now, he was trying to nibble it to look like a mountain. You know how little kids play with their food? He was trying to nibble it to look like a mountain, but he decided it looked more like a gun. He promptly goes, bang, bang, just like my grandsons did today. Just like my kids did when they were little. Wow, what a bizarre thing to do. Now, I understand we have zero policy, zero tolerance, zero intelligence, apparently. Not only did the school suspend this 7-year-old little boy for what? Threatening with a delicious object? I don't know. Bizarre. But they sent a letter home to the parents urging them to discuss the incident with their children. Presumably, this is to help quell the sense of panic that no doubt these children felt after this horrendous incident. The poor babies. I suppose children, they need help to work out their sense of panic and terror that someone could point a Pop-Tart at them and, I don't know, hurt them somehow? You think that's bad? A 5-year-old Pennsylvania girl was labeled a terroristic threat. I kid you not. Because she talked about shooting herself and others with her Hello Kitty bubble gum. It shoots bubbles. A bubble pistol. Yeah. I can remember my brother and I running through the yard shooting each other with bubble pistols. I seem to recall it was a lot of fun. Got us out from in front of the TV. We weren't on computer, consoles, game consoles, out in the sunshine, fresh air. I think my mom thought it was kind of good for us. What a bizarre thought. Now, the idiotic zero policy misuses that are in the news in the last few years have been epic. A little boy suspended because he had a little toy soldier. You know, one of those little green soldier men that I buy my grandsons. You buy them in a bucket. They play shoot 'em up, bang, bang. Yeah. He brought one to school in his pocket. Probably didn't even realize he had it in his pocket. But he reached in his pocket, felt it. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's an Army man. Army man had a gun. He got suspended. Kids are getting expelled. Now, do you remember when you were a little kid? Think back. If I can remember it, you probably can too. You remember that awful feeling you got just knowing your teacher was angry with you? You remember that? That kind of pit of the stomach. Oh, now what? I'm in deep trouble. God forbid you got sent to the principal. That was the end of the world, right? I remember this. I remember how it felt. I really do. Now, we're going to have a whole generation of kids growing up with a zero policy. Idiocy. Okay? Zero policy. What they're doing is they're getting children to the point that they are too terrified to be seen with a gun, to own a gun, to touch a gun, to want a gun. We don't have to outlaw guns. We don't have to take anybody's guns away. The generation of children growing up now, being punished for thinking the word gun, pretty much. You think they're going to grow up and go out and buy a gun and register it and take lessons and be a responsible gun owner? No, they're not. The concept is going to be foreign to them. I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what they did? They took a page from Braveheart, the movie with Mel Gibson. Remember when the English king was just so frustrated because he couldn't get rid of those troublesome Irish people? You know, the ones in Ireland, in Scotland, the Scots in Scotland. Oh, yeah. Remember what he did? He made it, what do you call it, reinstated, I suppose, an ancient custom wherein the liege lord, whoever owned the property, when a man and a woman got married, the liege lord could come in and have rights of first night with the bride before the husband. Okay? His rationale for this was, and I quote, if we can't get them out, we'll breed them out. That's what they're doing. They're breeding the whole concept of responsible gun ownership out of our children. We're breeding them, but they're molding them. What other reason would there be for being so heartless, as far as I'm concerned? And it is cruel. It is cruel, I think, to scare a small child over nothing. Over nothing. Think about it. Little Johnny can't take a toy gun, can't stick his finger up and say, bang, bang, pretend. Can't have an imagination, can't play. But the TSA says you can take a knife on a plane again. There is no logic to it. There's no A plus B equals C. And I like it when A plus B equals C. There's a certain rhythm to it. A roll, as it were. And I'm actually starting to think that this might be what they're doing. It's sort of like public health. They pretty much gave up on trying to get adult smokers to quit smoking. Okay, everybody knows it's bad for you. You shouldn't do it. Yeah. But aside from certain PSAs and trying to put horrible pictures on cigarette packs, they don't do a whole lot about adult smokers besides, well, call this number if you want to quit. We'll help you out. But what they did was they concentrated on the kids. No more smoking on movies, no more smoking on television, no more advertising to children, no more giving out free samples. Yes, they used to give out free samples. Yes. Oh my God, I can remember when the first time my doctor ever told me something about I should quit smoking, and he was sitting there with a pack of Lucky Strikes in his breast pocket. I remember that. Really? Okay. You watch the evening news, they were smoking. The anchors on television. And that was okay. So what they've done, adult smokers were indoctrinated. There's just no other word for it. They were indoctrinated. Cigarette companies sent samples of cigarettes overseas in care packages to the soldiers. Well, high-stress situation. Yeah, they smoked them. They came back. They're hooked. Yeah. So they figure they're not going to get a lot of headway in trying to talk adult smokers out of smoking. So they turn the sights to the younger generation coming along. If we just wait till the old farts die off, then the young kids come along, they grow up, they don't smoke. We have a smoke-free society. Which I got to tell you, I don't see a whole lot wrong with that, considered, but it's sort of a diabolical plan. It's a diabolical plan. If somebody sat down and thought this out, because I've thought about this a lot. And I can remember, thankfully being the age that I am, I can remember back when you couldn't turn on television without everybody smoking. And the process it went through where that stopped and it got less and less until now, you don't see cigarettes. You don't hear cigarettes. You can't go to a machine and buy a pack of cigarettes anymore. That used to be common, believe it or not. Do you know in my high school, I kid you not, we had a student lounge. We were allowed to smoke in our student lounge. There was no going out and hiding behind the church to go smoke. We had our own lounge in the high school. And it had vending machines and pop machines, and it was great. There were sofas in there. It was great. We loved it. We loved it. Only time you left the school to smoke was if what you were smoking wasn't tobacco. Now, I tell my kids this, and they don't believe me. Hand to God, I'm telling you, it did. No wonder adults, my generation and older, are hooked on smoking. Now, I am quitting, knock wood, thank God. Thank e-cigarettes. I'm trying really hard. I haven't had a real cigarette this year. So I'm really, after 40 years, I got my fingers crossed here. 35. I got my fingers crossed here. Yeah. But it makes me wonder, did the kind of mentality that set in when they decided we want this to be a smoke-free country because of, it's costing us a fortune to take care of the people who get sick. Society got us hooked on cigarettes, and now society bitches and moans and complains because, it costs money to take care of the old folks now that are getting sick because, you got us hooked on cigarettes. Because you all told us it was okay. Really? Thanks. Appreciate that. I should find an ice floe somewhere and go crawl out on it and die, I suppose. I don't know. Think about this. We'll be back right after this. Give me a call at 253-617-1440. We'll talk about it. Be back after this.
Hey, it's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's, or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Turso with Elaine Turso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Turso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTursoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
Welcome back. How y'all doing? I have nothing in my headphones. How y'all doing? I hope you're having a great Sunday, I'll tell you. It was pretty nice. A little sprinkly, but it's not pouring rain. I'm a happy camper. We're not part of the country that got 2.5 feet of snow. So I'm thrilled. Personally, I'm thrilled. Now, this is The Raw Nerve. I'm Susan Corcoran. I'm your host here, and I'll tell you, we're talking about kind of how the powers that be are shaping our children. And they're doing it in the guise of keeping them safe. Don't you love it? Every time somebody comes out, say they want to have taxes. They want to raise taxes for whatever. They want to raise taxes because they got to fix potholes along Alki Beach. It's for the children. It seems like every time they want to hit us in the pocketbook, all they have to do is say, it's for the children. I'm all for helping out the children. I've had a few. I've got grandchildren. I know a lot of children. I like kids. Oddly enough, after having raised 3 girls, I like children. But I'm getting a little tired of being played like a violin. It's for the children. Don't you care? What kind of unfeeling, unthinking, insensitive? Honey, fix your budget. If my budget gets cut, I have to learn to live on that. I have to learn where I can cut it, where I can't cut it, where I got to deal with this over here. Nobody comes in and just, well, we'll give you more money because, well, you think you need it. Yeah, there's times I know, schools and governments and all, they need money. You can't run without money. I understand that. I just get tired of being played. At least be honest with me. Come out and say, we want to raise your taxes. Say, oh, please, God, leave our sales tax alone. It's like one of the highest in the country. Stop trying to jump at another penny. But we want to raise your taxes because we need to do this. And don't sugarcoat it. Don't say it's for the kids. Don't say it's for the elderly. Don't say it's for, the disenfranchised in our society or something. Just tell us this is what it's for. If you think it's a good idea, vote for it. If you think it's a bad idea, vote against it. A little honesty in politics. That's all I ask. I'll never see it. I'm sure of this. I'm reconciled to this, but I can hope. I can dream. I can wish. I'm allowed. It's still America. Now, one of the ways that they are molding our children, and we're talking about, it's very weird. We have schools now that can't teach reading, writing, and arithmetic because, well, they have not enough time to do that and teach a curriculum of the tests that they're required to take. Yes, I think if you're a bad school, you need to straighten up or shut. Just shut up. Go away. Don't need to support bad schools. Don't need to pay bad teachers. And yes, there are bad teachers out there. The vast majority of teachers out there are fabulous, and they're doing the job because they want to do it for all the right reasons. But if you think there's no such thing as a bad teacher, then you don't think there's such a thing as a bad cop. You don't think there's such a thing as a bad surgeon. Of course there are. Of course there are. Let's stop paying for them. Boy, I'd free up a lot of money right there. And the thing of it is, everybody in the system knows who they are. Just like your job. You go to work, you know who pulls their weight. You know who doesn't. Everybody does. Nobody talks about it. Let's get a little real. Let's get a little real. But while they're molding our children's minds with these tests and all the things that they're doing, it's interesting the kind of backdoor methodology some people are going to. Example, I wrote this down so I would not say it wrong. I would not want to get this wrong. It's just too good. I love it. 4 Minnesota state legislators are promoting a bill that will ban bullying in schools. What a noble cause. That would be freaking awesome if they could do that. But then you wonder, okay, think about it. Use a little intelligence. Use a little real life sense. How would you go about really completely getting rid of bullying? It's going to happen. We need to be alert, be vigilant, squash it when it does happen, set an example for the other kids. See, it's not going to be tolerated, but it is going to happen. Murder is against the law. In some states, like Texas, they'll actually kill you for doing it. But people in Texas still kill each other, okay? It's the human nature. It's the beast that we are. Now, so these four legislators, state legislators, want to promote a bill, or they are promoting a bill, that would ban bullying at school. Now, their definition of bullying is as follows. Keep up now. Any words, images, or actions that interfere with an individual's ability to participate in a safe and supportive learning environment. Bullying may include, among other things, conduct that has a detrimental effect on a student's emotional health, or conduct that stresses or exacerbates a real or perceived imbalance of power between students, or conduct that does not rise to the level of harassment but relates to the actual or perceived race, ethnicity, color, creed, religion, national origin, immigration status, sex, age, marital status, familial status, socioeconomic status, disability or physical appearance, sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression, okay? Academic status, disability or status, okay, with regard to public assistance, age or any additional characteristic defined in any other Minnesota statute. Now, if we all follow that, there will be no bullying in school. Holy crap! Are you kidding me? Oh my God. We are becoming, we are not there yet. We're getting there. We're becoming a nation of thin-skinned whiners. Just whiny-ass people. People run around looking for someone to sue because they make a fast buck. People wake up in the morning looking to be a victim. They're not happy until somebody has offended them. Well, that's kind of my job. I take it seriously and I will be there for you. I promise you that. Seriously. It's not bad enough now. We've got these, 4 stooges. Instead of the 3 stooges, we've expanded it to 4. That have basically said that anything that a child in school says, does, promotes, that any other student in that school doesn't like, they're a bully. 0 bullying policy. We've seen how well that works with 0 gun policy. What do you think? Think about it. It's frightening. If you really sit and think about it, it's frightening. We already live in a country where schools are doing away with the valedictorian system. The valedictorian system. Every high school, when you graduate, there's usually one student who excelled above all others. Just really shone. great grades, great participation, great extracurricular presence, great community outreach. Really an outstanding example of young people in our country today. This is a student that usually is promoted as being the valedictorian for the school. That means this is our shining example of what we can produce in this school. Everyone should be proud. It's a huge honor. No. Schools are doing away with the valedictorian programs. Why, you might ask? Well, because not every child can be a valedictorian. And the ones that don't come up to those standards, you know, the ones that do just enough to get by, they might feel bad about themselves. Well, dumbass, you should. You should feel real bad about yourself. Crack a book. You want to be at graduation standing up there at the podium saying, you know, teachers, parents, fellow students, this is what I think our future looks like. If you want to be that guy or that gal, crack a book. Read something. Watch the news. Turn off your Xbox. Turn off your PlayStation. And that's saying a lot because I'm a gamer, and I've been a gamer for years and years, and I love my games. Turn them off. For the love of Pete, we can't have a valedictorian because somebody might get butthurt. Heaven forbid. We're in a society where we're telling our children that we're all the same. What you have, what I have, what you believe, what I believe, we're all the same. Now, if you're standing in church, that's a great sentiment because we're all God's children and God loves us all just as much. Okay, some of us more than others. But mostly, he loves us the same. You start talking about in real life, we're all the same. What's yours is mine. You shouldn't have more than me. Golly, I seem to remember someone named Lennon talking like that. Didn't end well for him. Think about it. Don't be so afraid of offending people simply by being the best you can. And that's where we're going. We're getting to the point where, well, you know, we got this big project at work. We got to get it done. I'm really busting it. I'm working overtime. I'm doing a lot of, research. Going to do a great presentation. What are you going to do? Screw it up because Johnson over here is just doing enough to get by? No. You want the promotion. You want the corner office. You want the big paycheck. Johnson could end up in the mailroom. I'm all for people supporting each other and helping each other out, elevating each other as much as we can. But come on. At some point, you have to take personal accountability and say, this is the best I can do. And if you don't like the best you can do, fix it. Go back to school. Ask questions. Read up. Figure stuff out. You can make yourself smarter. You don't have to pay tuition and go to college to make yourself smarter. You can read. And if the words are too tough, get a thesaurus. Make it easy on yourself. You can make yourself better. You can make yourself smarter. And when you make yourself better and you make yourself smarter, you make yourself happier, you make yourself more money because you can command a better job. What a bizarre concept. But no, they want to pass some sort of legislation that says, if I don't like what you say, then you're a big bully. And stop picking on me. Just because I get, D's and F's. Yeah, your mother must be so proud. And that's another whole point right there. I grew up in a time, granted, it was the Ice Age, apparently, according to a lot of people. But I grew up in a time when you actually wanted to make your parents proud of you. That was a big deal. It was really cool to get an award at school, so your parents come to school and see you standing up on the stage and you get an award. I don't care if it's for winning a spelling bee. I don't care what it is. That was so cool. And it was a big deal. Now it's like, really? How corny is that? No, it's not corny. It's personal pride. It's caring about how you present yourself, how you express yourself to other people, and how other people in your world view you. And if you want to be that dumbass that everybody knows down the street, dumbass down the street, if you want to be him, more power to you. I can't imagine why you'd want to be, but okay. We have some underachievers among us. We do. Yes, it's true. And I'm not talking about people who can't do better. I'm not talking about people who have some sort of disability or something that holds them back from being able to achieve the best that they can be, to borrow a line from the Army. I'm not talking about those people. If you have an issue like this is something that was thrust upon you. This is not something you embraced willingly. Okay? I have a brother who has cerebral palsy. Now, everyone always thought, because he walks funny, and he talks kind of funny, and they've always assumed he's not very bright. Wrong, dumbass. He's very smart. Incredibly smart. There's nothing wrong with his head. But people assume. They make assumptions. If you can't look at your life, see where you're at, be like a business. Treat yourself like a business. Have a 5-year plan. It's very simple. Where do you want to be in 5 years from now? Right now, today. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the same job? No. Where would you like to be? Okay. What would it take to get from where you are today to where you want to be in 5 years or sooner? Would that require taking some night classes? Maybe. It's amazing what some of those pieces of paper can do in your record. The doors they can open. But you don't have to be a college graduate to be an outstanding human being. You don't. How educated you are has nothing in the world to do with how smart you are. It really doesn't. It just has to do with different levels of things you can discuss. I've known some very, very intelligent people that never graduated high school. Gee, I don't know, Bill Gates? All those girls in high school that laughed at Bill Gates, I'll bet they're not laughing now. Think about it. A lot of the really big guys out there didn't go to college. Some of them didn't finish high school. That just made it harder for them. They were incredibly intelligent people to start with. Very, just brilliant people. It made it more difficult. But they had a goal. They had a passion. They followed it. They did the hard work. They connected the dots. And they got where they are today. And people sit there and go, wow, I wish I had Bill Gates' money. Yeah, well, he worked for it. I have a lot of admiration for anybody who started, at the bottom and worked themselves up. I really do. And Bill Gates absolutely did. Him and Paul Allen working in the garage. Not with a garage band. That everybody wants to have the garage band because, well, it's cool and you get the chicks, right? No. Well, look at them. They weren't going to get the chicks anyway. That's just the truth. So they started playing around with this newfangled concept called the computers. Boy, what they did. Not well educated from that point of view, but flippin' brilliant any other way you look at it. You don't have to be a college graduate to make the most of your life. You do have to be willing to put the hard work in. I'm telling you. And I'm trying to figure out how this is going to happen when we have legislators who want to legislate the way we can think and speak to each other. To the point of, I don't know, I was thinking this afternoon, I gave it a lot of thought. If I was a kid in high school, and there was another kid over here, and I wanted to tell them that I was unhappy with them for something they did. Whether maybe they were a lab partner and they're not holding up their end of the bargain and not doing the work, blah, blah, blah. I just want to let them know, I'm not happy with you. How in the hell can I say it to them without violating something that these guys have in this law? This bill. I can't. So I suppose we're supposed to live in a world of, happiness, unicorns, and rainbows, where everybody's happy. Nobody gets on anybody else's nerves. No. The color of the sky in my world is still blue. Well, mostly gray right now, but usually it's blue. I don't get it. We're electing these people. We actually go to the polls and we flip the lever, or we get our mail-in ballots and fill in the little line and elect these bozos. Is this really the best we can do? And I have no idea. I'll tell you right now, I have no idea off the top of my head if these guys are Democrats or Republicans, because in my book, it doesn't matter. I don't look at politics from a partisan point of view. I look at it from an intelligence point of view. Can you do something intelligent for me? Can you do something intelligent for the people of your constituency? Whether it's a city, a county, a state, whatever. Can you do it? If you can't, get into another line of work. Get off my ballot. I'm tired of voting for the lesser of the evils. You got 4 people running, you got 2 people running, you got 3 people running. It always boils down anymore to the lesser of 2 evils. Take the presidential election. I didn't vote for who I voted for because I thought he was the best guy. He just, at the point in time when I did this, he seemed like the lesser of 2 evils. And that wasn't saying a whole lot. I got to tell you, it really wasn't. But I'll tell you, I think politicians need to stay out of our schools. They don't belong there. We have people in place in our schools and our school districts to run this and to know what's best for our children and to work with us to get where we need to go with them. We don't need the politicians in there. Come on. You get tired of messing up the rest of the country? You're going to micromanage us now, right down to the little kids? I don't think so. I don't think so. Get out of my schools. But at least let's have some common sense when we're dealing with these policies that are coming along. And there will be a ton of policies coming along because I'm sorry, we are still going to have crazy people getting hold of guns. We're still going to have crazy people getting hold of knives and box cutters and machetes and cars and airplanes, anything else you can think of that you can use to cause some sort of mental or physical damage to another human being. And the reason is we can't find them all. Come on, they're out there. You know they're out there. They don't look any different. Contrary to popular belief, everyone thinks, like, they think the child molester is this creepy, crabby looking old man. No, they don't look any different. People with mental illness do not look any different. I am not in the least anti-mental illness, taking care of people with mental illness. I think that should be a high priority. I think that should be a flipping enormous priority in any society. Because if you can identify the people who do have mental illness, which is not their fault, it is an illness, okay? Identify them, get them treatment. Guess what? They're not up on a bell tower with a machine gun or a sniper rifle. We're not going to hear about them, are we? Think about it, for the love of Pete. There's just not a lot of common sense going on. Mental illness is shoved under the rug. Everyone tries to act in politics, tries to act like, well, it's not really that big of an issue. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. People who have mental illnesses, and we're talking severe mental illnesses, okay? We're not talking about people with tics. A little odd around the edges. We're all a little odd. Come on. I'm talking about the biggies. The schizophrenics who decide they don't want to take the medicine anymore because it makes them feel funny. But when they're off their medicine, the voices tell them to kill other people. What do you do? What do you do? They have to be identified first. And I'm telling you, we live in a sad, sad society when someone who honestly feels like they have some sort of an issue going on cannot go somewhere and say, I think I need some help, and we can't get it for them. What's wrong with that picture? Seriously, what's wrong with that picture? You have mental illness in every city, every state in the union. Every country, every municipality, everywhere, there's mental illness. But people can't just get help. Well, because that's a whole insurance issue. And if you're poor, well, yeah, there are programs out there to help you if you're poor and you can't afford the insurance for it. But let's face it, the programs pretty much suck. Really. At what point are we going to wake up and say, this is a priority issue? This is important. This is what's going to keep you and me and our children safe. This is what's going to make it to where we can now go to the movie theater and not worry about getting gunned down. Our children could go to school and not worry about getting shot. It's not whether or not little Johnny's chewing up his Pop-Tart to look like a gun and going bang, bang. It's whether or not the guy that's got the mental illness who ends up with the gun in the school, in the movie theater, shooting people up, whether or not he gets fixed first. Now, there's people with mental illnesses don't want to be fixed. Some mental illnesses are fun. Just because they don't see things quite the same way. There's days I wish I didn't see things quite the same way I do. But we're talking the really severe issues. Carrie Fisher, wonderful actress for the most part. Played Princess Leia. She's coming back. They're getting her back to reprise her role as Princess Leia in the new Star Wars movie with Disney. She's now a Disney princess. Go figure.
Han Solo's coming back too.
Yep. They're pretty sure Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill. Thank you, Mark Hamill. Yep, as Luke Skywalker. Pretty sure they're all coming back. Well, what else are they doing? It's not like they're real busy. But she's a wonderful example. She is a wonderful example because she has manic depressive disorder, which is a horrible thing to go through. It really is. It's a horrible thing to have. It's very disrupting to your life. It puts up roadblocks like you can't believe. For her to have gotten as far as she has in her life is phenomenal. It's a testament to her and her willingness to get help. But she just recently had to go be hospitalized again because the delicate balance that manic depressives has, and it is a ballet. It is such a delicate chemical balance. Got out of whack. Yeah. She had to get it fixed. Now, we can sympathize with people like this. Margot Kidder. Do you remember her? Played Lois Lane in the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve.
That I know her, yeah. I've seen it.
You've seen it? I'm impressed. That's, to you, would be an old movie. Fetus. She had severe mental illness, and I'm pretty sure hers was manic depressive. I seem to remember it was manic depressive as well. And she was found like running around in the bushes one night, and this is after she made the movie. She was very well known, and it was really sad. It was really sad. But the beauty of it is they were able to get her back on track, get her balanced again, and she got to go on with her life and be a perfectly normal functioning person. And they can. That's the point. They can. We just got to find them, and we got to be willing to treat them and help them get better. My gosh. Think about it. It's not a bizarre concept. I don't think so. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Raw Nerd right here on EdgeMediaSource.com. Back after this.
It's Kevin with the Outlaw Radio Network. When it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's. Or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Terso with Elaine Terso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Terso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTersoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel is rejecting Afghan President Hamid Karzai's claim that the U.S. is colluding with the Taliban.
I told the president it was not true, that the United States was unilaterally working with the Taliban in trying to negotiate anything.
Before their meeting in Kabul today, Karzai accused the U.S. of working with the Taliban to boost violence in the country in order to convince Afghans that U.S. troops should stay there after the combat mission ends next year. Hagel and Karzai were scheduled to hold a joint news conference earlier today. That was canceled, U.S. officials say, because of security concerns. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appears close to forming a new government. From Jerusalem, NPR's Larry Abramson reports some of the faces will be familiar, but there will also be some major changes.
Netanyahu bid farewell to his current cabinet, a sign that the leading parties from January's elections are ready to agree on a power-sharing arrangement. The coalition will leave Netanyahu's Likud Beitenu alliance weakened, but it will leave open the possibility that former Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman can return to his post if he's cleared of a corruption charge. Newcomer Yair Lapid appears headed to be the country's new finance minister. The big losers are the country's two major religious parties who will move into the opposition. Netanyahu has until next weekend to announce a new government. President Obama visits Israel in 10 days. Larry Abramson, NPR News, Jerusalem.
Egypt's interior minister is denying that Egyptian police shoot protesters as public criticism of the country's security forces grows louder. From Cairo, NPR's Leila Fadel reports the minister struck a defensive tone today during a news conference.
لا يمكن أن نقبل أن تبقى في ميليشيات في مصر.
The minister, Mohammed Ibrahim, was frustrated, asking people to stop attacking police or accusing them of brutality. This as a video circulated online of an unarmed man running from police and apparently being gunned down by a policeman from behind. The police have been a favored target of protesters who see them as tools of repression. During the press conference, Ibrahim asked Egyptians rhetorically how they would manage without the police force. He said that young conscripts have been under constant attack and pressure since violent protests broke out nearly 2 months ago. Meanwhile, an investigative judge has summoned the Minister of Interior and a number of top security officials. The judge is investigating the death of more than 30 people on January 26th during clashes between people and the police in Port Said. Leila Fadel, NPR News, Cairo.
Republican lawmakers say budget negotiations with President Obama are building some momentum. They say the president has been reaching out. GOP Senator Tom Coburn said today he believes Mr. Obama is sincerely trying to find common ground. Congressman Paul Ryan says he'll wait and see. This is NPR. Two prominent newspapers are reporting that Harvard University administrators secretly searched the emails of more than a dozen deans at the school. As NPR's Kirk Siegler tells us, the search was allegedly linked to a cheating scandal last fall.
The Boston Globe and New York Times are citing school officials who told the newspapers that Harvard administrators searched email accounts of 16 deans. They were reportedly looking for a leak to the media about a case of cheating, and the deans sat on a committee addressing the scandal. Last month, the university said it issued academic sanctions against about 60 students who were accused of cheating on a final exam for a class on Congress. The students were forced to withdraw from Harvard for a period. Some faculty members have been critical toward school administrators for not giving the deans proper warning that their emails were being searched, but a spokesman says an assertion that Harvard routinely monitors emails is patently false. Kirk Siegler, NPR News.
A referendum is underway in the Falkland Islands off the coast of Argentina. Voters are casting ballots over whether to remain a British territory. Diplomatic tensions between Britain and Argentina have been rising since commercially viable oil resources were discovered in the Falklands Basin. You may have noticed some relief at the pump recently. Oil industry analyst Trilby Lundberg says prices have fallen over the past 2 weeks.
This is the first price drop we've seen at the pump since December. The regular grade price is $3.74, and it's down 6 cents from 2 weeks ago.
Lundberg attributes the drop in part to easing crude oil prices due to a strong U.S. dollar and increasing U.S. reserves. She says refiners are also cutting wholesale prices. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News in Washington.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
And welcome back. I can listen to that for a while. I like that a lot. That's cool. I like that. I'm just a jazzy girl at heart. What can I tell you? Welcome back. Welcome back. This is The Raw Nerve with me, Sandy. Now they got me saying it. Susan Corcoran. That's my real name. I can't use my radio name anymore. Yeah. We'll stay out of that one. How y'all doing? If you forgot to set your clocks back or forward, spring forward in the spring, if you forgot to do that, you're thinking this is the first hour and you missed an hour. This is the second hour because it is now 6, a little after 6. 6:10. See, I can read it. I may wear glasses, but I can still read. We've had a lot of fun the first hour. I've had a blast talking about, I don't know, psychological aversion therapy that they're using on our children to be scared of guns. Guns don't kill people. Crazy people kill people. Bottom line. And you know what? Just to clear that up, you don't have to have mental illness to be crazy. Any of us go crazy. You push anybody far enough, we'll snap, we'll do something crazy. 20-something-year-old guys, they do it. They jump off a building with a rubber band tied to their foot. That's crazy. Jump out of a perfectly good airplane. That's crazy. We all have it in us. What can I tell you? It's the nature of the beast, I'm telling you. Now, we all hear a lot about the bad things that happen in the news. A lot. There's a lot of ranting and raving, and I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, and I love to go through it. I do it more, go through the pages more than I do the games or anything like that. Because I love to see what people are ranting about today. I love to see what's making them go, OMG, are you kidding me? A lot of the times, I'm right there. I'm like, really? Let's do some research. Excuse me. Sadly, a lot of people don't bother to do the research. They just read it and really, it must be true. You can't put anything on Facebook or the internet that isn't true, right? Everybody knows this. Idiots. There are people who still believe that. Honest. But you know, you hardly ever hear about the good news. And I got to tell you, when I was small, I was really young, like 2, somewhere around there. I can still remember my mom putting my brother and I in the car, and we went down to the church on the corner, and they had a big open room, and they had a bunch of tables laid out, and there were a bunch of doctors there and nurses. You could tell because back then the nurses wore the white suits and the hats. Yeah, the white dresses and the hats. And there are all these little paper cups on the table Hundreds and hundreds of them. And every one of these paper cups had a sugar cube in it. Now, I don't remember what I was thinking at the time because I was really young. But I'm pretty sure I was like, oh, sugar cubes. I like that. What I didn't know is this was one of the first large-scale public inoculations against polio. What they had done was they had taken the polio vaccine, the dead vaccine, they had put a couple of drops on each sugar cube, and then they would get us all to line through and give us each a sugar cube. And, of course, you had the kids that tried to get back in line and get a second or third one because, well, it's a sugar cube. We didn't realize at the time what a huge, huge thing that was. It was enormous. We didn't realize it. What can I tell you? They came out with vaccinations against things like, I don't know, mumps. I had the mumps when I was like around 7, I think. And I can remember that was the sickest I've ever felt in my whole life, was with the mumps. I thought I was going to die. I was half afraid I wouldn't. I just feel like that forever. I've had the measles, something you don't get anymore because you get your kids' shots. Although the shots you get for the measles, that only covers the bad ones, like rubella. There are something like 240 some odd different strains of the measles. They can't vaccinate you against all of them, so they vaccinate you against the bad ones. So if you get a rash, don't be surprised if someone says, you got the measles, or your kid's got the measles. There you go. But the really big things, they can immunize now against polio, so children don't get it anymore. They used to have polio seasons. Every summer, when it started getting hot, parents started getting scared. I mean, that point was before I was born, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a little bit before I was born, but I couldn't imagine what it was like to be a parent back then and have to be this afraid of something like that. They can immunize you against the measles. They immunize you against whooping cough. Well, if you've got the sense God gave an earthworm to get out of a wet burrow, you get your child immunized. Just because some star jumps around and says it causes autism, no, it doesn't. It's been proven over and over and over and over. I don't know where you're listening to this from, but I live in Washington State. We have had epidemics for the last 2 years of whooping cough in this state. It's embarrassing. Children have died. It is an awful disease. But parents aren't getting their children immunized. What, you think your child's special? It ain't that special, honey. You're not that special. None of us are. Viruses don't discriminate. They don't pick on anybody. They just happen. For the love of Pete. So you hear about all the bad news that's going on and everything, but you hardly ever hear about the good news. Do you remember hearing about the little girl that was cured of AIDS? I will even repeat that. She was cured of AIDS. HIV. Why don't you hear about this? She got the story, got a few minutes coverage on the news a couple of days in a row, and that was it. You don't hear about it anymore. People, this is enormous. This is earth-shattering. This is life-altering for entire societies. You don't realize how bad it is in other places. It's bad enough here. It is bad enough here. Now, she was cured because apparently she was high risk when she was born, the hospital she was born at. I gather, they haven't come out and said so specifically, but from what I read and whatnot, I gather the mother was kind of sketchy. And the doctor, when she was born, the mother knew she was HIV. They knew she was HIV positive. And the doctor thought she deserved the best chance he could give her. So he gave her really strong 3 drugs right after birth before she even tested positive for the virus, which she did. They knew she had the HIV. She was under a protocol, if you will, for a year and a half where she was getting the medication, and then they lost touch with the mother. That means the mother skipped. Mom went under the radar, okay, for whatever reason. Finally catch up with her 2.5 years later, find out she stopped giving the baby the medicine. What a shock. Lo and behold, baby has no HIV in her. None. One of the problems, they've thought they've been close to cures before. They really have. HIV is a particularly sneaky virus. It holds out. It holds up in little pockets throughout the body that whatever medicines they're giving you right now, don't touch it. It just sort of circles the wagon, draws up tight, lets the outside cells die from the medication, but the inside cells are protected. As soon as you stop taking the medicine, boom, it blooms, you're HIV positive again. It really is a nasty disease. It really is. No news there. But this child, they can't even find the holdout cells. Nothing. What a phenomenal thought that they could maybe cure AIDS in all the babies that are born of HIV positive mothers. Now, maybe right now it only works on babies because their immune systems are so kind of sketchy at first. I don't think doctors are really 100% on exactly how a newborn baby's immunization system works. But even if it's that small population, take that to Africa. Oh my God. Do you know how many babies over there are dying of AIDS, HIV? This is phenomenal. And more news, and I had to dig to find this. Apparently, bee venom can fight HIV. Now, this is what I'm hearing. Okay. According to a new study, and this study was done by the University of Washington, Illinois, a reputable school. It's not, coming from Honduras or something like this. In St. Louis, excuse me. Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, a well-known school. It's demonstrated that a toxin called melittin, that's found in bee venom can destroy HIV, destroys a virus. Poof. It pokes holes in the envelope surrounding the virus, according to a news release sent out by the Washington University. Now, apparently nanoparticles that are smaller than HIV were infused with bee venom toxin. This is according to U.S. News and World Report. A protective bumper was added to the nanoparticle surface, allowing it to bounce off of normal cells in the body, normal healthy cells. That way, it wouldn't affect any other normal cells in the body. It just bounces. Now, this allows it to bounce off normal cells and leave them intact because normal cells are larger than HIV. So the nanoparticles target HIV, which is so small that it fits between the bumpers. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Can't imagine how tiny. Melittin is one of the nanoparticles, fuses with the viral envelope. I can talk today. According to researcher instructor Joshua L. Hood, MD, PhD, via the news release. Now, the melittin forms little pore-like attack complexes and ruptures the envelope, stripping it off the virus. We are attacking the inherent physical property of HIV. Theoretically, there isn't any way for the virus to adapt to that because it's not chemical. It's physical attack. Anything and anyone can develop tolerances to any chemicals. The virus has to have a protective coat, a double-layered membrane that covers the virus. This pokes holes in it and rips it off. It dies. Wow. This is something that can work on adults with HIV. If you can get the viral load, what they call the viral load in the bloodstream, down low enough of a disease, a viral disease like HIV, it is effectively cured. You monitor them. If it starts coming back up, you retreat them. Sometimes you have to do that several times. But the bottom line is, it is manageable and ultimately, at some point, theoretically curable. Why don't we hear about this stuff? Had you heard anything about it? I didn't. I found out by accident. And I think this is part of the problem we have nowadays. People are only interested in the lurid. They're only interested in what titillates their psyches. If it's graphic, if it's in your face, if it's ludicrous enough, people are interested. If it's gory, frightening, people are interested. If it's just like, oh my God, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm telling you, we need to get our priorities straightened out. We really do. A lot of us. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I am so far from perfect, it's not even funny. But at least I'm working on it. I try. I actually put effort into being a better person today than I was yesterday. It's not like I think about it 24/7. No. But I do give it some thought, which is more than a lot of people do. You got to wonder. I've got to wonder about why, and I do a lot of this. I wonder about a lot of things. Why? Why would a police department put up security cameras in highly populated residential areas? They're surveillance cameras, and not tell anybody that lives there. And then be surprised when the people who do live there get upset about it. Duh. Really? I'd be pretty ticked myself. The Seattle, and we live across the water here, across the pond from Seattle. We're like a bedroom community, as they say. And I got to tell you, it's been bugging me for a long time, the fact that you cannot go out, the average American citizen cannot walk out his door today, go to the grocery store, run a couple of errands, come back home without having been photographed, videotaped, and surveilled upwards to 30 to 75 times a day. You can't. There's no such thing as privacy anymore, except in your own home, and sometimes I wonder about that. Not to sound too paranoid, but I think there's an all-out assault on privacy. Everybody has a cell phone now. I mean, you're considered bizarre if you don't have a cell phone now. And they are pretty cool. They're a lot better than the bricks they used to have. Yeah, the first cell phones were horrible. They're pretty cool now. But if you have one, and you know you do have one, why aren't you on it? Have you ever let your cell phone ring and you hear it ringing and you don't answer it? You'd be amazed how many people can't say yes to that. That phone rings, they answer it. It might be work. It might be family. It might be a friend asking me to go somewhere. It might be something cool. Now, granted, I grew up in a time when there were no cell phones. There was no internet. There were no computers in the home. We had 3 lousy TV channels. Hell, I remember when we got our first color TV. The whole neighborhood came over to see. And there was only, I think, 3 half-hour programs in a week that were filmed in color. But the whole neighborhood turned out to see what it looked like, which was really awful back then. It was awful. But we had a telephone, one, that hung in the kitchen on the wall. And it had a long cord attached to it. And if it rang, it was always like, can you get that? I'm busy. My hands are wet. Whatever. Always a reason. But it didn't ring 24/7 either. There was considered to be a civil point. You don't call after a certain time. You don't call before a certain time because, well, that would be rude. People aren't sleeping now because they're laying awake in bed checking their cell phone to see if they got a message all night long. There's actually a phenomenon where people keep waking up at night because they think they hear their cell phone ring, or they think they hear the ringtone for text message, and they can't sleep. They're not getting any decent sleep. Does this sound like anybody you know? I'll tell you, I don't know. Do you run it or does it run you? Seriously. At what point, if your boss called you and you didn't answer your cell phone, at what point would that be okay? 10 o'clock at night? 11 o'clock? Maybe your boss has insomnia. Think about it. You're expected to answer the phone. Do you answer the phone when you're on the toilet? To me, that's a big teller right there. If you're sitting on the pot and your cell phone rings and you answer it while you're sitting there, you've got it bad. You've got it bad. I would at least wait till I got done with what I was doing and went somewhere else. That's just me. I know I'm old. Go figure. I think it's really kind of sad because I watch my kids and they've got it bad. Oh, Lord, they've got it bad. I've seen my youngest daughter and her new husband sit in the same room and text each other. I've seen one of them sitting in the car because they pulled in. One of them came in the house, beat the other one in, and then they're sitting there, one sitting on the sofa, the other sitting in the car texting each other. I'm like, hang up the damn phone, get out of the car, come in the house, talk to her. What a bizarre concept. People don't talk to each other anymore. There is no personal connection. The art of conversation is dying. And all of this ties into a lack of privacy. Because you're expected to be accessible pretty much 24/7. Whether you think you want to or not. And a lot of people buy into this. There's no privacy. There's no time off. What does it take? You could be like my daughter and flush your cell phone down the toilet. I didn't actually think they could flush, but apparently they can. All the way down. Cracked me up. It really did. Broke my heart. But I got to tell you, people are driving themselves crazy. There's an old saying, you're disappearing up your own backside because you're running rings and running circles so fast and so often, you disappear up your own backside. It's another old saying. And it's true. We're so busy trying to keep up with new technology. Oh my God. Let them release a new phone. Seriously. You let a new iPhone come out. There are lines. There are lines down the street. There are lines like there used to be to see a new movie that came out, a really cool movie like Star Wars, to buy a new phone. Not because there's anything wrong with the old phone, because tomorrow they're all on Craigslist or something like that, people trying to sell their old ones because, well, they bought the new ones. Why? Everybody should have a phone, I suppose. It's handy. I have one. I have it in case I'm out and my car breaks down. That's pretty much why I have it, in case of emergency. Beyond that, I don't much like it. The screen's too little, even the bigger ones. The letters are too little, the buttons, they're too small. I am getting to that age. I don't really miss it. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I really don't. My kids think I'm a dinosaur, and I don't care. I kind of like the days back when the phone hung on the wall. And there was one. And everybody used the same one. It seemed like we had a little more control over our lives. You can't go out without being videotaped. You can't go anywhere without expecting to be available to whomever's calling you. And what kind of a friend is calling you at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? Unless they're calling to say, I've had too much to drink and I need a ride home. Can you help me out? That I can see. I'm cool with that. But beyond that, unless somebody's dying or in the hospital, no. No, don't be calling. Don't be calling. And I think it's really sad because it's really telling on the American people. We're not getting enough sleep. As a people, as a country, we're not getting enough sleep. And everyone's like, yes, so? You hear young people say, I'm young, I don't have to get that much sleep, I'm fine. No, you're not. You think you are? You're not. And it's cumulative. It will add up. So by the time you're my age and you've been on the cell phone the way you are now, you're going to be a hurting unit. I just think people should take care of themselves a little bit more. Make yourself your own priority. You're not anybody else's priority. Make yourself your own priority. Look out for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Defend yourself. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this, right here on The Raw Nerve. I'll see you in a minute.
Radio Network, when it came time for the guys with Outlaw Radio to get our tuxes for the Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County's Raise the Roof event, we honestly had no idea where to get them. Then we found Judy at Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton. As evidenced by the name, Judy's Sewing does tailoring, alterations, and repair. She also does tuxedo rentals starting at $69, bridal party dresses for $69, and bride's dresses starting at only $189. Plus, we also learned that at Judy's Sewing, not only does she offer military members prices that are lower than they're going to find at the Navy Exchange, she also prioritizes their orders. That means if you're in the military, your needs move right to the front of the line. It's a special touch of service you can only get from a locally based business like Judy's Sewing. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road in Central Valley in East Bremerton, right near Handy Andy's, or call Judy at 360-662-1212. 662-1212. Judy's Sewing, a local business that's proud to support her community.
I'm Elaine Turso with Elaine Turso Photography. Let me tell you why I say that I am not your average photographer. At Elaine Turso Photography, I can handle all of your photography needs, including weddings, families, and newborns. I have an in-home studio, or I am able to come to you to take photos wherever you want to be. Mention Guardian Broadcasting when you book, and I will give you a 10% discount. For more information, visit me online at ElaineTursoPhotography.com or find me on Facebook.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.
Hi, this is Kingston Girl, your go-to girl for news, people, places, and events in Kitsap County and beyond. I'm your source for all the information about the biggest events in Kitsap County and hotel reviews nationwide. Plus, check out my blog for my latest travel advice about the places you gotta see. Follow me on Facebook by searching for Kingston Girl, on Twitter at Kingston Girl New, and on my blog at kingstongirly.blogspot.com, and find out what you have been missing out on.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Raw Nerve. Hi, I'm Susan Corcoran. I'm your host here every Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. Give me a call at 253-617-1400, or you can go to edgemediasource.com, go to the website, click Listen Now. You can hear it, which is how you're listening to it now. Log in, and you can IM me. That's cool. Now, I know it's kind of been overdone, but I got to tell you, as something that just absolutely morally offended me to my fiber, I really can't let it go without saying something. The 87-year-old woman who died in Stockton, California, because a nurse would not perform CPR or let anybody else there do it. Perform the CPR. Okay. This offended me. For one thing, I went to nursing school. I could not imagine doing what this woman did. At all. I don't care what the policy would be. If it came down, if when I was hired, they told me that if somebody falls down in front of you and they're dying, if you do anything to help them, you're going to get fired. And then somebody actually did, I'd be saying, you know, I need a new job tomorrow. Yeah. That's me. I could not do it. I could not do it. I was an EMT in this county for 8 years, firefighter EMT. Yes, I ran into burning buildings. Shows you how twisted I am. Twisted and bizarre. But I got to tell you, I could not imagine. I've done CPR on people. And you know, the ones who have made it, I've never ever had one come back and say, I'm really angry with you that you did that. Not one. Granted, this was an 87-year-old woman, but she was in an independent living facility, not in an assisted living facility. There's a lot of different facilities out there nowadays, trust me. Independent living facility just means that it's sort of like an apartment complex, but there's usually a panic button in case something happens because they're older people. What's the point of living in somewhere to feel safer because you're of a certain age and then finding out, well, yeah, but if anything happens, they won't do anything? The nurse told the operator, and it broke my heart. I mean, I was sitting there, it's a 7-minute conversation. 7 minutes. And if you listen to it in its entirety, it's just like you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It just rips the soul right out of your body. I swear it does. I felt so bad for that dispatcher who was just all but crawling through the phone trying to get help for this woman. And her family, the family of the 87-year-old woman who collapsed and ultimately died, has no heartburn with what the company did, the nurse and the woman dying. They're fine with that. And I was thinking about it. My opinion, just my opinion. But that tells me there's an inheritance somewhere and they were waiting for grandma to kick off. Now, wait a minute. You can sit there and say, oh, no, that's not fair. No, wait a minute. She's 87 years old. There are a lot of 87-year-old people, believe it or not, 80, 90, 100-year-old people who are spry, active, have all the faculties about the... Betty White just turned 91. Anybody want to tell her she's an old woman? I ain't doing it. I'm going to be the last person to tell Betty White she's getting old. This woman is 87. She's in a living, an independent living facility, which means she is capable of living independently. She cooks for herself. She can clean for herself. She can take care of herself. That tells me the old gal was fairly spry. And I got to tell you, she did not have a DNR, which is a do not resuscitate order. As far as I'm concerned, it's a real huge legal issue. I know, and it depends on where you live. But DNRs are funny thing. Do not resuscitate orders are funny things. Some of them include no CPR. Others are very specific. You spell out, I don't want this. I'll have one myself that says, do not put a tube down my throat. Because I don't want to be a head in a bed. Thank you. Ever. But I got to tell you, if I go down because my heart rate slows or my breathing slows, and you can just, if somebody just jumps on me and jump starts me, I can get going again. Have at it, honey. You got my permission, for the love of Pete, to sit there and say, well, I'm a nurse, but no, I'm not going to do that. No, I can't do that. No, I won't turn over the phone to somebody else to do it. This poor dispatcher is probably scarred for life. These people don't do it because it's money. They're not doing this job for the money. They're doing this job because they actually care about people. It is a hard, demanding, soul-sucking, emotional job, believe me, to be a dispatcher. It is hard. This is a great example. You have to put up with people like this. Now, I've often joked with my husband, just because I know CPR doesn't mean I have to use it. I can lay there and go, oh, honey, does it hurt real bad? That's if you catch me on a bad day. Bottom line is, I'm not going to do that. If I saw somebody fall down in the street, I'm going to go over there and do what I can to help out. And I think that's what a normal, feeling human being is going to do. Period. The company backs the nurse up entirely. Now, the nurse was not working in a nurse capacity. She was more of a supervisory capacity. But it doesn't change the fact that she is a nurse. Doctors have to take an oath that say, first do no harm. And I think ignoring somebody laying there dying on the floor in front of you is, I don't know, kind of doing harm. I really do. Now, it's a different story if you do have a DNR. But even then, I would expect you to know, if I'm living in a facility like this, I'd expect you to know how far that DNR goes. Okay? How far you're allowed to go. And there's a lot of DNRs. Right down, there's a do not resuscitate quickly DNR. And that's one known to the doctors and the nurses in the hospitals who know that heroic efforts on this particular patient would be not only useless, it would be cruel. So when the code is sounded, they respond slowly. Don't talk about it, but it happens all the time. Doctors and nurses are supposed to be caring people. Now, you can't be a really caring, heart on your sleeve, bleeding heart kind of a person and be in medicine. You can't do that. Because every time somebody died on you, and they will, it will scar you to death. And pretty soon, you're incapacitated. You cannot function anymore. And we need doctors and nurses, and we need good ones. But I got to tell you, I would certainly hope we could do better than this woman's behavior. I really do. How you can turn your back on someone who's laying there right in front of you, gasping and flopping like a fish out of water, and you can't do anything? You can't be bothered because it's not policy? And now the company is saying that, well, that wasn't technically their policy, that it was a misunderstanding about the policy. And yeah, I would really like to know how many residents of this particular care facility moved out the very next damn day, because I would have been one of them. I'd have my bags packed. I'd be moved out so fast I'd make their head spin. If you care so little about me and whether or not I'm here to pay my rent next month, I'll go somewhere where they want my rent money next month. It really is just that simple. I'm telling you, it's something to do with the way we're becoming. Not all of us, no. If we're all getting like that, it wouldn't bother anybody because, well, we'd all be the same way. But you see it more and more. There's a certain, I don't know, thick-skinness. We're thin-skinned as far as perceived slights in our direction. But when it's the other direction, we're not talking a two-way street here, honey. Nah, we can slam them with the best. I don't really get that, but it's true. I don't understand that. But people don't seem to care about other people as much as they used to. It used to be when my brother and I, in the summertime, Mom would open the door, we'd go running outside, and we'd come home when it started getting dark. I can remember when my curfew time was when the street lights came on. I remember that. It was funny. I remember that. The reason parents could do that back then, and people are like, well, I don't know why it's so bad now. We can't do that. It's simple. Everybody in the neighborhood knew each other. Lady Cranston, that lives 4 houses down, she knows who I am. She knows where I live and who I belong to. And if I'm 4 houses down and I do something I damn well know I'm not supposed to be doing, guess who's on the phone to my mom? Telling her all about what I'm doing that I know I shouldn't be doing. I go back home. Guess who got a whooping? Guess who next time didn't do what I was doing 4 houses down in Mrs. Cranston's and got in trouble for? Nobody whoops their kids in. Nobody spanks their kids. We'll just call it spanking. It's not abuse. There is a difference in any intelligent. I hate that term. It's so insulting to all of us. Spanking is abuse. No, it's not. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. I had a child psychologist tell me that 3 swats on my daughter's butt with an open hand was perfectly acceptable. He said any more than that was for me. And I agreed with him. 3 swats on the butt with the open hand. You bet. I'll get your attention, little girl. And I reserved spankings for things that were really important, the big things, like not holding my hand in the parking lot and running off. You're going to get whooped for that. Running off in the mall and disappearing, and I'm frantically running around looking for you until I walk past Penny's, and there you are in the front window posing like a mannequin. Like that didn't happen, Kristen. Uh-huh. You scare me to death, you're going to get a whooping. Beyond that, no. No. But I got to tell you, this is why we could do things like this. We knew the people around us. The people around us knew us. They knew our people. I was raised by my grandparents, not my parents. That made it really kind of stick out in the neighborhood. She belongs to the older folks. Oh, we'll remember this. Kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. But I'll tell you, nowadays, people don't know their next door neighbor. They don't know their neighbor above them. If you're in an apartment complex, if you're in a duplex, you don't know the person who lives on the other side of your wall. No idea. So if your kids are out running around and they're getting into trouble and doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, number one, anybody seeing this has no idea who they are, has no idea what they're up to. They tend to get scared because, well, there's little hooligans over here doing this stuff and it's making me nervous. They call the cops. Cops show up. Back in the days, in my day, your folks showed up, and that was like the worst for your parents to show up. You see the car pull up, panic. Now cops show up. We call the cops for everything, no matter how old the perpetrator is. It's kind of frightening. I'm just saying, if we could get off the cell phones and get off the computers and get off the things that tie us down and isolate us and insulate us. Open up a little bit. Go out. Meet somebody. Join the PTA, for God's sakes. Get to know some people. That's when freedom really starts. That's when you can open up. You can relax a little bit. You know who your peeps are. They're all around you here. These are my friends. These are the people I know. We're going to have a big barbecue this summer. And you relax a little bit because you know who's around you. People don't do that anymore. I don't know why. It's really pretty fun in the summertime. A bunch of houses get together. You have, pull out tables in the street, close off the street, have a barbecue. It's a lot of fun. Good time is had by all. Used to be called a block party. You never see those anymore because nobody knows who to invite. I just think it's kind of sad. I think it's telling of a nation, of a people. We're more willing to get upset and jump up and down and harangue people over something we read on Facebook. You doubt that? Go on Facebook and see some of the things going on there. Oh, my Lord. I'm like, really? Seriously? You're upset about that? Yeah. We're more willing to go on Facebook and get indignant and outraged than we are to stand in front of another human being and say, I don't like something you said, or I don't like something you're doing, and I wish we could talk it out, resolve this, and come to a meeting of the minds. Because nobody wants to talk anymore. Nobody wants to be face-to-face anymore. It's too confrontational, and it makes me too nervous. Now, grow a spine. My God. You remember the movie Surrogate? I bet you don't remember the movie Surrogate, do you?
I don't think so. Wasn't there a new one with Bruce Willis, though? Surrogate?
Yeah, it was Bruce Willis, where people didn't go out in public. They had human-looking robots.
There's a virtual body, yeah.
Yeah, they're avatars.
Yeah.
That would go out in the world and do their job and do their shopping.
You wanted to be.
Yeah, and you stay in your house in the dark and nobody sees you. And I swear we're getting to be like that. We're getting to be like that, and I think it's frightening. Oh, I'm not some doomsday, freak going on about paranoia and stuff. No, I'm not saying literally tomorrow. But I'm just saying I mourn the connectiveness that we used to have as a people. In our own neighborhoods, in our own towns, in our own counties, our state, and our country. I want to worry about my neighbor before I worry about the guy in the next state over. And I want to worry about the guy in the next state over before I worry about the guy in the next country over. I think that's the way it ought to work. And if you think about it, if you don't care about your neighbor and what's going on with them, I can pretty much guarantee you they don't care about you either. And if somebody's lurking around your house or breaking in your house and home invading your house, hello, 44. But if they're doing that, maybe the neighbors will call the cops, and maybe they won't. Because they don't want to get involved. They don't want their name on a police report. How freaking sad would that be? But it happens. It happens all the time. You think all these home invasions and drive-bys and all this stuff goes on and nobody ever sees anything? Of course they do. But people don't want to get involved. They don't want their names involved. They don't want any way in their fear, and it's fear. They don't want any way for their name to come back. The bad guys involved to find out who is involved with any of this. Because they're scared. Stop living in fear. Go out, meet your neighbor. Knock on the door. Say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I live over here. I did. I met my neighbors, and they're pretty cool people. I was really impressed. I really was. I didn't know I had such cool people living in my neighborhood. Makes me feel special.
Should have got out more.
I know. I live in the cool part of town, I guess. My neighbors are awesome. Except the guy with the pigeons in the back. He's not so cool. But I know him, too. And I can tell him I don't like the pigeons. Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad, but he used to live there at one point, and he had pigeons, and then he moved out and left the pigeons.
Oh.
Like, let them go wild.
You didn't take them with...
No, he didn't take them with. And now he's back, living in the same place again.
Oh.
He's got more pigeons, including the ones that are still flying around, besmirching my car and eating my bird feeders. Yeah.
And painting your car new color, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, the thing of it is people don't want to get to know their neighbors because they think if they get to know their neighbors, there's some sort of an emotional investment in it. And if there's a problem with your neighbor, and everybody has that neighbor, everybody does.
So
it requires. If there is, it's like in your at work. There's always one. Come on, there's always one.
Always that one.
Always that one. Yeah. And I'll tell you, it's anywhere you go, any neighborhood you live in, any job you get, anything you deal with, any club or organization, there'll always be at least one person you don't get along with. Okay. But people are afraid to go out there and say, "Hi, I'm so and so," because they might not get along. And if they don't get along, then that's confrontational. And people don't want to be confrontational. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. I've had people tell me this. I have had people tell me this. They don't want to get to know the people around them because what if they don't like them? You think everybody likes you? I guarantee you not everybody likes me. That's fine. I like me. And that, at the core of it, that's the most important thing. And I found that the majority of people do like me. A whole lot more people like me than do not like me. So I've got to figure I'm doing something right. I can't help it if a person doesn't like me. I might try a little harder to get them to like me or do something nice, go out of my way to be nice, yeah. But I'm not going to walk all over myself. I'm really not. So think about it. Think about it. Get out. Turn off the TV. Hang up the cell phone. Turn off the Xbox. Turn off the PlayStation. Get out. Go do something. Meet somebody. It's really a pretty awesome place we live. This is a great town. It really is. People knock it. People make fun of it. The only time we're ever on the news is for something just god-awful horrible. Lord knows. But that's just because that's the nature of news. But I'm telling you, there's some freakingly awesome people that live around here. And there's a lot of them that I'm really proud I know. And anywhere you live, I don't care where you live, you can do the same thing. And I can almost guarantee you'd find the same thing if you went and met your neighbors. You'd find some freaking awesome people who care, who watch out for your back. And I tell you, I don't know very many people who can't use a little back watching. Damn few. But the bottom line of it is, we need more privacy in this country. We need to unplug more. We need to let our employers know we are not available 24 hours because, well, you don't pay me 24 hours. Even if you're salaried.
Actually, speaking of that,
Mm-hmm.
my employer pays for my cell phone bill.
Yep.
So they expect me to be available, because it's considered a tool for my job. So they expect me to be available or to answer emails and always be able to. And I expect to be available through text messaging, phone call, or email almost all the time.
Do you have hours, set hours?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Are you paid hourly?
Yes.
You know what I would do? I kid you not. I would do this. I maybe don't recommend it, but I would, honest to God, do this. I would present them with a bill. This is the text message I answered after hours. This is the phone call I answered after hours. This is what I did after hours.
This is overtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I'm
I
concerned.
thought it was interesting that you brought that up because it's not that it's a big deal. Not that I'm getting tons of emails on the weekend, but it was just mentioned the fact that they pay for my bill.
It's
as a
the
tool,
assumption.
Yeah.
You're assumed to be available at the drop of a hat. And what if you had a wedding to go to? You know, something formal, something dignified, where you're not going to be wanting to be on your cell phone all the time.
Yes.
You know, you're sitting in church. Hello. They frown on you.
You don't yeah, you don't want to be on your phone.
Although I've seen the video where the minister's in the middle of his sermon and his cell phone goes off, and he answered it. Oh, times they are changing. I'm telling you. Not necessarily for the good. And don't get me wrong. I'm not being some old fart sitting here saying, oh, it used to be so much better when I was young. No. There's a lot of sucky stuff back then, too, honey. I'm telling you. I guarantee you. And I'll tell you, over the weeks coming, we're going to be talking about some of the differences, and some better back then and a whole lot worse now. And a lot of it is a whole lot better now than it used to be. A lot better. You'd be amazed. But I've been doing a lot of research. I've been looking into things because I am a basically curious person. And it makes me wonder if everybody's got a cell phone in their pocket. That's a great example. If you've got it in your pocket, what's fair to expect you to be available? Do you answer the cell phone if you're in the bathroom?
Well, answer a call, no.
Text?
Yes.
You answer a text?
Yeah, I'll answer a text, but I won't answer a call.
Because you don't want anybody to hear anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want them to hear that echoey noise. You know, that
because you
echoey.
always know if there's an echo in the background. Like you always have a second thought in your head, like where are you right now? Like I'm in the kitchen. I'm sure you're in the kitchen.
I've got my head in the refrigerator. It's kind of echoey.
You're in
here.
the garage. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm touring the Sistine Chapel right now, and the big open spaces are kind of echoey. Yeah, everybody knows exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Where are you? Yeah.
You coward. I love it. I love it. But that's a great example. It's just a great example. My husband has a cell phone that is paid for by his employer. Mm-hmm. There's times I make him, that's right, two. I almost forgot, 2. But there are times I make him take them off and leave them because you don't have to be available 24/7. There's times I want you to pay attention to me. I don't care about them, okay?
You outweigh the cell phone, right?
I do.
On
I
certain
outweigh
days.
a cell phone. No, honey, I outweigh a cell phone any day. I could take on quite a pile of cell phones, I'll tell you. It's sad but true. But the bottom line of it is you've got to care. You've got to take time for yourself. You've got to let yourself get enough sleep. People aren't eating because they're too busy texting. I've seen my daughters take an hour and a half to get through half a sandwich because every time they take a bite, they got to set it down and then answer texts.
That's too much.
An hour and a half to get through half. I've seen this. And I'm like, seriously? No. Because by an hour and a half, you're not hungry anymore. So it's like, yeah, well, okay, fine. Because your stomach set in and said, okay, we hit the limit and you're full. No, you're not. Just a lot of stuff like this we're going to be talking about in the future. I've got a lot of stuff to share with you, I'll tell you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for Outlaw Radio Network with the crazy guys. You're going to love it. We'll be back next Sunday at 5 p.m. See you then.
Did you know volunteering with the Bremerton Central Lions Club can be fun? Community services for everyone. Young people, families, men, women. As a volunteer, you'll help your community and gain valuable skills, network with others, energize your life, make an impact, and have fun. Get in step with your community and volunteer. Visit us at bremertoncentralwa.lion.wap.org.